What you laughing at, man? This shit about to be legendary, y'all, for real.
Welcome back to the loft. Welcome back to the loft. Today we have a relentless, intelligent, creative human being in the room right now. But before we introduce this special guest, we're gonna introduce the room. We got the one and only Rob Lennon in the room.
Yo.
That's my brother. I'm happy that he's here for this today. I'm really happy. Oh, that's my brother. But the woman of the hour, the woman of the day, the woman of the conversation, the woman of Utica.
Wow, what a title.
We have the one and only Hilda. How are you, Hilda? Clap it up for Hilda. Clap it up for Hilda. Yes.
I feel like that after that intro, you know.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm really blessed. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Happy for this conversation.
Yes. Long overdue, but perfect timing.
I believe God, everything's in control and in God's timing.
Exactly.
Like, truly.
I feel as if you are doing amazing things. You've done amazing things.
Thank you.
How do you take those compliments? All right. So you are in a position that you have accomplished so many things in your life that people are always going to congratulate you, right?
Yeah.
So how do you take all these positive comments or positive words?
Yeah. I'm learning how to accept them, quite frankly, and not dismiss it and be like, oh, it's not a big deal, because I actually really appreciate the practice of other people, like, really being inspired or recognizing, like, whoa, like, what you did is great.
Yeah.
And I often, what I'm learning how to follow it up with is, this is how you can do it too.
Yeah.
Right? Or this is how you can get involved.
Love that, yeah.
And making an invitation, because it takes more than me doing these great things to really make the kind of sustainable impact that I'm on a mission to serve.
Yeah. Do you think there is a wide range of people that gatekeep information?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that why you're so willing to be like, hey, this is how you can do it too?
100%. I feel like, so my job full time, I'm an equity consultant. I run my own business. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
It's really about building that kind of accessibility.
Yeah.
I think if somebody comes out of their way to share their positive energy with me, like, how can I reciprocate that or multiply that? Sometimes it can also just be like, I'm really like, yo, it's not that deep. Like, it's okay. Like, yo, but I'm learning not to dismiss it, because I think that can also be how the community takes pride and recognizes the growth that they're making, right?
Because you came from here.
I often talk about being a village child.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't born in Utica, but I moved here when I was 7, raised from Kernan to Donovan to Proctor. The track was my thing, like where I met folks for real, but also like community groups, right? Like from the Junior Frontiers to the NAACP to even Young Scholars, but MVLA, like people who really lived here, who dedicated their free time, like made me into the kind of leader, the visionary that I am. Yeah. And so it's important for me to pay that back, like pay it forward in the work that I do, but also to show other people, like to showcase the talent that is here. Yeah. Because there's so many people doing amazing things.
No, that's a total fact.
And I'm just tired of this kind of like, oh, there's nothing going on in Utica. There's nothing good that comes from here. I'm like, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Like that's
super lie.
That's actually
super
false.
Lie. And I like to speak on that too, because I'm not from here, but I always have something to do. So then, why are you guys that's from here talking on a city that I think has so much potential to do even bigger things that it has already accomplished? And yeah, let's get into more of you though. Hold on. This is really big.
No problem.
So can you let's start off in the way beginning, because your storyline that we spoke on, it's magnificent. I think it's an amazing story.
Thank you.
So you came here at the age of 7. Where are you originally from before that?
I was born in Queens.
Okay, shout out to New York City. Shout out Queens, baby. Southside, we outside. You came to Utica. Yeah. And then your mother is...
She's a single mom, Dominican. I speak Spanish at home. Identifies an Afro-Latina. Okay. Super important intersection in my like work and the identity, because I recognize that I'm always a Black woman. Yeah. But I'm not African American. Right. My cultural heritage is different. My My family's history is different. And I think that adds to the conversation and also helps me recognize when there are different histories and different dynamics at play, because our communities are different. And like the histories that we have even in a place like Utica is different and needs to be respected and acknowledged.
Respectfully.
So yeah, my mom, dope. Love her, my hero.
Yeah.
Everything. She works now as a bus driver for the city. So she's a blue collar worker. But inspired me because in the Dominican Republic, she was the youngest nurse in her village.
Really?
And
shout out mom.
Yeah. Now
wow.
Mom,
that's a flex.
At 16, became
16?
a nurse. And the crazy thing about it is that my mom's the youngest of 10 to a family of dirt port farmers. So she literally used to sleep on a bed made of plantain leaves.
Really? And
take care of her. Like, so she's the youngest, right? So she had nieces and nephews that she's like 8 years older than, right? So she's been working since she was 8, taking care of her nieces and nephews to be able to get like a school uniform bought just to go to school to become the youngest nurse. Yeah. So mom taught me like my hustle, my game. Like, if you want it, work for it.
Go for it. Yeah.
There's no excuse, right? So that's mom. She moved us up here though because she wanted a better life for us. Right? I know you're from New York City, so you know the cost of living is
wicked.
Ridiculous. Yeah. We were living like 2-3 families in a 3-bedroom apartment in the city, you know? And so Utica was a chance for me to have my own room, to develop this kind of backyard picket fence childhood.
When did you actually feel the urge and hunger to be the best you can be though? There's a kid. And then there's, okay, let's go after this.
Yeah, no, I was 4.
Really? Tell me that experience. How do you know that age? How do you know that feeling?
So 2 things, very cornily enough.
Let's get into it.
Super corny. You know how kids play dress up and like you play with dolls? Yeah. I used to play like corporate lawyer. So I used to, no nonsense. Right? Like we had a hallway, right? And I had a little desk. I'd sit down, like my little client chairs. I'd sit down my stuffed animals. Yeah. And I would literally advocate for them, or I'd run the meeting.
I used to do the same thing.
And have like a fake computer. I didn't wear glasses back then, so I'd put on like fake pink glasses and be like, "Yep, so these are my clients."
And be real deep inside the like defending.
I'm working. I'm doing employment litigation. It's a whole thing. Yeah. But I was 4 when I first told my mom I wanted to go to Harvard. Wow. And I tell the story, so I'm like, this is divine intervention, God. I must have seen it on the TV, like something. At the time, we really just watched Spanish news because my grandma was still alive. Novelas? De la 12 hasta la 3. That's the midday marathon. And then again from 8 to 10. Like, you're not touching the channel.
Respectfully. It's not
Grandma, it's not about you anymore.
My Haitian culture, my Haitian cousins and grandfather and my grandmother would watch it too. So like
it's a whole everybody sits down. Even the people who don't watch it are watching it.
Novela's hit. I ain't gonna
lie. They're so good. Storytelling. All the drama. Yeah. But I'm guessing this is around the time that, you know, there was more DACA, more Latino students getting admitted into Harvard. So my logic was smart people go to Harvard. I'm smart. Therefore, I will go to Harvard.
So you claimed it for yourself.
That simple at 4.
That's big.
And so everything that I think I've done since then in my life has been in pursuit towards that goal.
Wow. That is so beautiful. I don't think. Do you get the flowers of that thought process of that early?
Yes. No. I think. Dope. And it's, you know, it's interesting because I think of my equity work 2 ways, and I've learned to tell my story in this way where, yes, it's amazing that I was able to work so hard and create a plan and strategy for myself to get to Harvard. Yeah. But it shouldn't have to be the case that I have a divine mission from the age of 4
to make that goal.
Right. Respectfully. Or to succeed, right, at that level, because there are other people that are succeeding, but because they don't have that same kind of branding, I'd call it, or image from an early age, you don't track or identify that potential or that progress. So, but for me, knowing that there aren't, I don't know, I've always been an outgoing, extroverted kind of person. Yeah. And so I knew that people were also going to like, oh, I was too talkative. I'm too friendly. Like I had to have a way to positively like rework that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Harvard was this catch-all for excellence of like, oh, the best of the best go there. So in order for me to get there, I have to be the best of the best. So it became this real good, like one justification for like my pursuit of excellence and going as hard as I did.
Yeah.
But two, it also became for me a recognition of like what balance through that journey looks like.
Yeah.
Because by the time I graduated high school, I'd done so many things. And like when I got to college, I had this identity crisis of like, I don't know what I like to do because of what I actually like.
Because you
versus
were always going for this goal.
Right. Versus what I've done as a means to get there.
So now let's talk about an even bigger question.
Sure.
I have two for you. I have so many questions, actually. Welcome to the loft. First question is, when you got that letter that you got in, was it like I knew this was going to happen? Or was it a sign of relief? Like, okay, I did it.
So let me tell you, I had a Harvard story before my Harvard admissions story.
Talk about it.
That's why I'm back in Utica, because Utica really changed my life. As a junior, I'd gotten an invitation to apply to the Harvard Summer School program.
Okay.
So that's a summer where high school students, before they go to college, get to spend on campus, take college classes, live on campus, but it gives you a real experience and a taste of the culture.
Yeah.
A lot of schools do this.
Yeah.
For me to get something from Harvard that had my name on it when I got this invitation, I was like, they know who I am. Like, no, I've been waiting my whole life for this. Right?
Yeah.
So I applied to the program. I get it. I'm like, dope. I'm going to Harvard.
That's dope.
Now, the one, but there's a but.
Okay.
Financial aid doesn't work out. I only find out about it a week before, like, I'm supposed to matriculate or like finish setting up for it.
Oh my God, I don't want to get into FAFSA.
That's a whole nother episode. But they're like, hey, if you want to come, we can still reserve your spot, but you need to come up with $7,000 in a week.
In a week?
In a week. And I'm like, listen, I don't know which rich prep kid. I'm sure daddy.
In a week? That's disrespectful. I got a story of myself like that, but a week is crazier than mine. Mine was a month.
Listen.
A week is crazy.
You want to know what Utica did?
What did Utica do?
Fundraised $10,000 in 4 days for me.
No way.
Before GoFundMe's.
No way.
No digital thing. Like, it was straight up cash donations. People were bringing like envelopes to me with cash, mailing things in. The radio picked it up. The newspaper had picked up the story.
Wow.
And it became this like community effort of like, look at this. At the time I was like, 3-sport varsity athlete, student council. I was all the things. Yeah. Right.
You did your thing.
Did everything that I could. Like, aren't we going to support one of our community's own in this amazing pursuit?
Before that happened, did you think you'd get that support beforehand?
I think that I knew that I had the support of like different parts of the community. You know what I mean? I was an athlete. I was a musician. Like I was, most likely to, like, I really got along with everybody, right? From like the AP kids to the English language learners, right? I'm like, I can relate to everybody because I've been here. And so I think I was expecting folks to like support and like kind of like it. But I think
when you saw it, how did it feel?
It was insane. I didn't think I was shocked. Like, I remember that just being a complete like eye opener for what community can do and what we can become and how like what's possible when we believe, right? Because I was like, damn, like this many people really believe in me and believe in this dream that I have of like buying my mom a home, of helping people like us, right? And that's what Harvard was giving me the keys to do. Yeah. So to see people like be like, yeah, you deserve it, and I believe in you so much that I'm gonna go out of my way to do this.
That's so fun.
It was also like so humbling because I'm like, damn, this is bigger than me.
It is.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you believe in me, but it's because you see yourself in me, right? Yeah. You see how these
right
kids.
Now. You spitting right now. You talking right now.
Listen,
talk. I love this, but that's
this why they pay me to motivationally speak. Okay?
I'm over here like I'm going outside of school again. I love this.
And I'm so glad, right? Because it's taken time to learn how to tell my story and even be comfortable with that because these have felt like miracles, right? Like God literally doing more than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Right? Because I did, I put together these letters the way that it started. Shout out to the proctor teachers.
Yeah.
Like some of these Utica City School District teachers really, really care and love on us and are incredible.
Love that.
Because I put a letter in every single person's mailbox at the school. And I was like, hey, my name is Hilda. Here's my story. Like, will you help me fundraise the money? If I don't reach my goal, I'll return the money.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it was from the teachers, like support. And then I had the community program. The only reason I knew how to even write letters like that is because the Junior Frontiers had taught us from the HBCU tours, right? So having all these different like little experiences gave me the actual know-how, or at least a creative like exposure and skill set to pull something like this together to be like, well, the least you can do is ask.
Yeah. Why? A lot of people would have been complacent in that moment. What put you in so much action mode? Like,
because I'm like, I went so far and I'd gone so hard that I was like, my whole story was like, the one thing that I cannot control cannot be the thing that stops me. So you know what? If it can't, that's fine. Yeah. But I'm going to do everything that I can that's in my control to get that, right? Because you got to think about this. At that point, Harvard had been a 12-year goal in the making. Yeah. Yeah. This wasn't something like...
There was no.
No, like it was like Harvard had to...
There was no. We love that.
I'm like,
that's
Harvard,
a life lesson.
They told me, wait. I said, hold on. Okay, there's time. Yeah. There's time. Yeah. Right? Until there's not any more time, then I won't. Yeah. But until my last breath, this is what I've been working towards.
There is no. You can't accept a no if it's not a no.
If you didn't say no, consent is important.
Respectfully,
no means no.
Hold on.
No means
consent is very important.
I'm like, hold on,
consent is very. Hey, go to Apple Music and check out Rich Vocals Consent. I made an album about that. Anyway,
he's like, don't
consent is super important. But if you have a goal for something, the no that you're given, and if you didn't accept that no, like you said, it can still change. You know what I'm saying? There's so many parts in my life where my pops was born in Haiti, walked around with no shoes. Shoes wasn't even a thing in his head. Sandals were like a goal to have. Yeah. So I saw a beautiful girl in the church. She was the popular one. Her dad was the pastor of the church, and he said to himself, "I'm gonna marry her one day, and I'm gonna take her to America." Wow. Look at me. Hey. Like, if you don't accept that no for your life, then that no won't, you know what I'm saying?
And I think I've been like thinking about this in a different perspective of like, I use the I'm possible dream. Yeah. Right? Like that thing that's deep in your heart. There's something that can be so clear, like that clear voice to your dad that's like, I'm going to marry her and take her to America. Yeah. Yeah. Right? For me, it was like, I'm going to go to Harvard. I'm going to buy my mom a house. Like there are certain moments in your life where it's just like deep from your soul, this kind of truth. That's like, that's your dream, right? And it's so easy to have it be crushed because people will tell you it's impossible. Yeah. It was impossible for somebody, like me, to do what I even am doing, right? Yeah. Because I'm a 25-year-old business owner right now whose literal job is to develop social good. Yeah. Like, I fight racism and oppression and like in a systemic and systematic way. And I'm like, I get to do this for a living. That's real. And I feel so blessed and honored. And this is a dream, right? Like, I've been writing about this throughout college, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. Yeah. And so many people are like, no, you can't. No, you can't start a business here. And no, you better pivot and not in Utica and don't come back. Look at God. Look at God.
Look at God. I'm gonna get the shirt. Look at God.
Just because, like one of my deals that I'm working on that's already been in development has been with the Utica City School District to build pathways so that other students can succeed too. And it's like, those are things that people thought were impossible, right? Like, I've had people tell me like, oh, Utica's youth, right? No, don't worry. Like, they're not going to get it. And I'm like, but how many people would have said that about me? Exactly. Right? Or about people like me who you just haven't met yet or haven't empowered yet. Yeah. So
I have a tougher question for you now.
Go ahead.
So I said I had two. Yeah. I always bring it back. So you did all these things, accomplished it. Now you got to the school. You had an identity crisis. Because you were going for this goal for so long, you didn't know what you liked personally. What do you think is more important in life?
I think you find your passion through what you like to do. Like, I think the way that you use your time ends up reflecting that.
Yeah.
There are certain things that for example, I knew that soccer was not my thing.
Yeah.
But I played it to stay in shape during the seasons. Do I think that so now it's like neither track nor volleyball are the ways that I like train every day, but I'm an athletic and fit person.
Respectfully.
So it's kind of like I found ways to like grow and understand those loves in ways that maybe were not particular to that specific activity.
I see what you're saying.
So, for example, I thought I was going to be a lawyer my whole life. Yeah. And that's because I wanted to fight discrimination. Yeah. I wanted to make workplaces better. I wanted to make schools better. And then I was really working at a law firm in D.C. That filed cases at the Supreme Court and appellate courts regularly. Whoa. Like, one of the cases that I worked on was on police brutality for the Supreme Court, and the justices really read that. Whoa. Right? And I still felt unsatisfied.
That's so crazy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I say these things very casually because I'm like, that's just wild. Like another line item on the resume.
That's wild.
Thank God. Thank you, God.
Thank you, God.
But it didn't feel like the satisfying work of being able to really connect people to those opportunities and those resources before they end up shot. Right? Before they end up behind bars. Yeah. Right? Like, how do we actually create alternatives? How do we actually develop better systems so that we're not just trying to hold people very weakly accountable at the end after all the harm has been done, but we're actually doing things to intervene and change the harm dynamics.
Wow. So do you internalize the goal that you want so far?
You're catching me at a really good point in my journey, because it hasn't fully sunk in that I'm really doing bona fide successfully doing the work right now. Right. I feel blessed that I now get to text and have lunch with the top CEOs and executive directors in the city. And that's just, Hilda, I want to get your thoughts. Let's
that's
connect.
So dope.
Right. And I am like, let me see when I can fit you in because of my business. It's crazy.
Hold on, Hilda, say it again. Hilda said, you the top. What? Hold on, buddy. I got some things I gotta finish. I'm on a call.
I'm like, respectfully though.
No, respectfully. Always respectfully. But I'm on a call right now.
So it's an honor, right? To be able to have that kind of access, and it's a privilege. So I think that I'm really working on, disrupting the school to prison pipeline right now. That's like the theoretical term of really more community engagement and access building for these students and student empowerment. Yeah. And it's nuts. Sometimes it hits me just the responsibility. I'm like, I'm building entire citywide trust, from the high levels to the grassroots. People are like, yeah, so what are we doing? Tell me when to show up. Yeah. And this, be in that role is a huge responsibility and an honor. And I'm like, is it really me, God? I'll really sit there and I'm like, is it me right now as I am? I'm like, are you sure? Yeah. And, the community is telling me they're sure, the leaders are too. And I'm like, all right, so I will be obedient. And slowly just embracing what that means, but still integrating, still kind of
That's so big though. What you're accomplishing, what you're doing, and you coming back to complete the return on investment that they did on you and back into the...
I'm like, shout out to all of y'all who gave. Yeah. That is what I mean when we're saying community investment, when we're talking about these impact centers or impact strategies, and everyone's talking about reinvest in the community. I'm like, no, literally, this is what those couple of hundreds of thousands of dollars that those people put together completely changed the entire trajectory, right, of what I've been doing in my life.
Respectfully so.
Since that day.
Yeah.
Because before that, I really thought I was going to go be a corporate lawyer.
Yeah.
I was going to go become a partner at some huge law firm.
Yeah.
Work on Wall Street, make my money,
Yeah.
maybe set up a trust, set up a scholarship fund and be like, there you go, Utica, congrats, thanks. Here's my philanthropic.
Did it.
Come to the gala, you know what I mean? Like,
come to the gala.
maybe, right? And that's it. But that just taught me that it has to be more than that, right? And so those $10,000 changed that, like, changed my life forever. But then I think also, like, literally brought me back. And since then, like, I've already consulted with a number of clients here, have been inspiring different change, seeing different, even like after we organized the YES Summit, like the Youth Empowerment Summit at the Veterans Outreach Center, Simon's use of that building, like people are having parties there and other events there. And all of a sudden it's becoming like this high use, like community space.
Yeah, I love that.
That didn't happen before Sonora had told me like, hey, Hilda, like, come, let's use this space. Let's put together this conference. So to even have that kind of energy where people are really learning about new programs and meeting new people and doing more things. Yeah. Because I came back and was able to put more people together in those rooms that wouldn't before know each other. Yeah. Because that's just the network I have. It's like, all right, let's get you all together because you're great, you're great, you're great. Yeah. Let's be great together.
Let's be great together. I love this.
Yeah.
No, you're definitely motivational in the way you speak, but also what you, as we were speaking about beforehand, you're also showing through your past experience of it's attainable. Like you can do these goals, but you have to put in the work to do it. It's not going to just come to you.
I think that's both parts of the coin. And so this is where the DEI consulting space comes in, right? Because I think there's a lot of education and changing that folks within power, especially white people, like need to do in terms of recognizing the barriers, the inequity in information. You ask people gatekeep knowledge. We know they do in the professional world. We know they do.
Most definitely. Yeah.
And I have a whole thing about the lack of social grace that then we often have. Because if you don't know the words, you don't know the keywords, you don't know the people there, nobody knows you, and you're the only person that is melanated or wears their hair different, you stick out like a sore thumb.
Respectfully.
So any mistake you make, it's like on 10, even though the other person made the same mistake you did just a couple of days ago, but no one noticed. Yeah. So when I think about that, like that's one half of the equation, right? Of like, okay, let's get the employers to build better systems, to build better training, to do the work. But then there's also the question, like, us as a community, like the work we have to do. Yeah. Because there are certain professional skills that are required. Like, let's be real, right? Yeah. Giving a speech is a skill.
It is.
Right? Organizing an event is a skill.
It is.
Bookkeeping is a skill.
Yeah, it is.
And so, but teaching it in that way and not coding it as quote unquote culture. Yeah. But teaching it as a real skill. So a lot of what I'm doing in coming back, at least the vision for it, is to be able to grow more of a team to help do the work so that people can get those polishing, I call them like professional polishing skills, right? Like, and soft skill development of like, hey, this is how you write that one pager to get a grant and get those people to respond to you and give you $500 instead of the $50 that the one employee has been giving you, right? Because they want to give you the money and you have the right event. You just haven't been communicating it in the ways that they can recognize. So a lot of my work now is like, it's twofold, right? Develop the workspaces, but also develop the community to be able to thrive in these spaces. Yeah. And to have the skills to do that.
Yes. There's so many pillars you have to build before having the house. And you're doing that work. So that's beautiful.
Thank you.
So now I think a lot of people are asking now, like, coming from Utica and seeing the good, bad, the ugly, but you're getting all that experience, being melanated, being a woman. How was that experience in Harvard?
I had a great time.
We love that. And we're good.
I had a fantastic time. That's not to say, like, there were challenges, of course. There were difficult moments. But I really had the time of my life.
That's
right?
dope. Did you find yourself there?
Yes. Like, I found so much more comfort in the pursuit of excellence and how deep and how hard I go with like everything. I studied philosophy, so just, like the art analysis that I was talking to you about and how it's a bigger social issue.
It is.
I was able to have those conversations regularly and study that and be in an environment where everybody's like, oh, that's dope. Like, but what about this? And what about that? Right? Like, we're just engaging at that conversation level. The other thing is that there were so many amazing Black people at Harvard. Yeah. Like, fire. Met some of the like most amazing Dominican people I know. Yeah. Just like there was a little bit of everything and everyone on that campus. I got to travel a lot. Yeah. Like I've studied, worked, or lived maybe and visited 13 different countries so far.
13 different countries.
Yeah.
And that's not off the PPP loan, huh?
No.
A lot of y'all saying, me too. That's off the PPP loan. It was different for her.
It was off that Harvard money. That Harvard was the
Harvard cash. It was legit, y'all. Right.
They stole it from somebody though. So
hey, I work. Hey, let's not even.
Never mind.
Let's not even get into that.
They got a racial equity committee too. I'm gonna just say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. I had great time like with my professors. I was able to start the consulting program that literally gave me the seed for my business.
Right. So what is your business?
So I run a social equity consulting firm. Mm-hmm. So what I use, I have a framework called Equity Eats. So equity makes sure that everybody eats at the table.
Respectfully.
We move beyond seats and we look at the experience. So we're gauging the empowerment that people have, the access to resources, the tools that they're able to use, and how folks are who's actually succeeding.
Yeah.
So this moves into like different pillars of work, and it goes from the individual to the interpersonal to the institutional to the ideological. Because realistically, when we're talking about building equity, we're changing how people think and value and their value system. Yeah.
Right? Equity is the most important thing in the world.
And you can think about equity like the actual money equity, right? Because how do you know how much you're worth?
Knowledge is also equity.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. But because it's like, look at intellectual property,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Nothing worth more than the actual algorithm or the code or the secret sauce.
Trust me, it's very important. Data is everything.
Hello.
Yeah.
So when I think about equity in this perspective, that first pillar, empowerment, goes with the education, the exposure that I provide. So a lot of that's the event planning that you've seen, a lot of those events that I've started to put together, like mixers.
Love it.
This is all building towards something bigger, and I'll share more of that. But that education, like exposing people to the problems and to each other, right? So one workshop that I do is I train teams on how to be more socially inclusive. So I actually bring in Dominican food. I'll go through a whole thing. This is the short workshop. You can get a little flavor.
Okay.
Equity Eats Cultural Humility Workshop. I come in, I unpack like, who do you think I am? I start speaking in Spanish. People are like, yeah. I'm like, yes, gotcha. Black Latinos.
Gotcha.
We exist, right? And so you're already starting to get a sense of like, oh, I am making these quick assumptions and I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
How is this an issue? How does it show up in the workplace? We eat Dominican food. I have you try and explain like, oh, these are all the ingredients that could go into it and this is how you do it.
When can I come for the food?
Listen, have your job needs a training?
It needs everything. If the food's there, pull up.
The food is so good. Yeah. And it's a good metaphor, right? For people to recognize like, whoa, this is what the privilege of knowledge looks like and the power of knowledge.
Yeah.
Because when I do is, okay, in this dish, people get like 7 out of the 21 ingredients correct, right? And I'm like, congratulations, you got a 30%.
Got him.
And I'm like, how many of you knew there was cinnamon? And they're like, none, right? I'm like, now if I were in a room of Dominican women, we'd be talking about, do you use the cinnamon sticks? Do you use the cinnamon powder? Do you put it in the beginning? Do you boil it with it? You didn't even know that was in there. It's the same thing with your business processes, right? On the flip side.
Exactly.
But if I were to bring you into that Dominican kitchen and I expect you to make a great pastelón, but I never teach you how to do it.
It's going to be bad. I'm gonna make a pasta alone. It's not gonna be a pasta alone. It's gonna be a pasta alone.
And now it's like you're setting me up to fail.
Yeah.
Right? Because what are you gonna do? Yeah. So through that exercise, like folks start to recognize, like, oh, that's where inequity exists.
That's a very what's the word? It's a very approachable, like it's like you can what's the word for that? To like
palpable?
Grab it. Yeah, it's
palpable.
like it's something that you can actually like understand. It's not over the head. It's not too below. It's not trying to make you seem like you're stupid. It's like now you see what we mean by
it. It's like when people say, "Oh," and I saw this example at one point. It's like, "Oh, I'm a teacher," and it's like super hard to become a teacher. It's like, yes, okay, but what were your parents? A teacher. And what were their parents? Teachers. And what were their parents? Teachers. And you're like, so how hard was it really for you to become a teacher? Like, yes, you have to do the work, but you knew the steps, you knew the lifestyle, you were raised and exposed to it. Yeah. It's like me, where sure, I might have to look up the pastelón recipe, like to brush up on things, but I know how to peel a plantain. I know how to cook the like. Okay. I was raised in the culture, so I can adapt to that.
My question to you is a personal question now. My dad was a pastor. My grandfather was a pastor. What does this mean for me? What does this mean for me?
Listen, is this not your ministry?
What does this mean for me? Lord?
Are you not on mission studying the word? Like
look at my plaques right there.
This is what I'm saying, sir.
Lord, what are you telling me?
Who has transformed our church into a better place for worship with his musical talent. God's waiting. He ain't in no rush.
He's chilling. Lord.
He ain't never pressed.
All right.
He ain't never pressed.
Okay. I'm just trying to pick it up, trying to pick up the pieces, trying to move together.
And this, but I think it's also what's in your heart, right? Because there are certain times where we can have a dream that we're not yet ready for.
Respectfully so.
Right? That is a part of our picture and where we're going. And that we need to kind of keep in the back of our mind, but that may not be the time or season for.
Respectfully
right now.
So. God will get you to that path, regardless.
And if it's for you, it's always going to be for you.
It's for you.
It don't matter.
So my question to you now is, do you feel successful? Annoying question for someone that loves to work.
I do feel successful.
Love that.
I think I measure my success in terms of, I have some different metrics for success. I think right now, I'm leaning into what it means to have the community-based metric of success. Is like, are people connecting more? Yeah. Is there more programming happening? Yeah. Are students doing more things? Are they getting engaged? Right. Like my metric of success becomes almost like a community measurement. Like how are folks doing? Like did the things that I did actually make an impact? Because I feel like I'll always be able to show up and be a good speaker and a pretty face. And folks will be like, wow, congratulations. Right, to your point, like I'll always get the congratulations claps, in a way. So the success isn't just like, I guess it matters who the congrats are coming from, right, in a big way. And I think I've done a lot, but there's still a lot more to go. Yeah. And one of my big things is I got to retire mom. I'll know I really made it.
That's my goal too. Yeah.
I'll know I made it when it's like, Mom, you're done working.
I love that. That's a beautiful goal. That's a beautiful goal. Wow. You did a lot. You do a lot. You accomplish a lot.
I also feel like, okay, like I feel like you're saying a lot, but I don't know what that means. Like,
what do you mean by that?
Because maybe for the people who don't know me,
okay.
And maybe like who are watching your thing, like what are the things that, like, because you're saying like, oh, Hilda does a lot, but I feel like we haven't talked about the things that I actually do.
Want to get into. Well, let's get into it. Let's list the things.
No, you tell me what you know or what you think I do.
I know for a fact you came back and you took affirmative action. You did not wait for, yo, Rich, let's make this plan and do this and let's build this event. Let's do this. Like you took on a goal. You got a lot of people that do a lot of things in Utica in one room, which is just not possible. Yeah. That's just not common to see.
That was the Black History Month mixer was a huge thing.
Big event. You got them all to dance too. I don't know.
Yeah, we were out here doing the electric slide.
I was like, wait, hold on. There is not many people that speak and do. There's a lot of people that speak and we have false promises. Yeah. So when I say a lot, like you just accomplishing that one thing to me is going to be a lot. Even though your other story of getting to Harvard.
Yeah,
and
of course.
But coming back and saying that you're going to do something and doing it is huge.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that because I think to me that was a big moment. Yeah. Like one, because I think of the power that was built and shared in that room. Folks, just about everybody completed an application to be, actually everyone who's there completed the application to be there. And they shared things like what they want to do with future programming. Like if they had $5,000 for a summer program, what would they do? Yeah. Right. And I put people kind of based into groups around that. But what I'm planning to do is, with a lot of this development money that's coming into my consulting work, is to be able to actually support people and put them into those positions to do the programs that they're running. Yeah. Right. Like I'm like, yes, this is us connecting in the room together, which we need to do because we need to build the relationships. We need to grow together. And that's building the container, right? Like that's not the end goal. That's just building the container for then all the energy and all the money and resources that are frankly coming into this city. Respectfully. Right? But that we very rarely are in positions to help navigate and distribute. Yeah.
Or know that money's even coming.
And that's what I mean, right? Like if you don't know about it, you can't navigate it, and you sure enough can't shape it.
You can't say it's go that way.
Like, you didn't even know there was money coming.
Exactly.
And so I think my goal as my business is to solve that equity need, because it's a problem that everyone has, right? Yeah. Employers want to hire more diversely. Employers want to contribute to the education system. They want to make Utica a better place because they want to keep their employees here, right? They want people.
They want their business to grow itself. Yeah.
They recognize the interest there, right? Community members want to grow better. They want to build wealth. They want to have these opportunities, right? There are folks who are doing amazing things in the pockets, but that never get recognized because they're not a bona fide nonprofit, or they're not this person, or they don't already know that person. So how do I build those meeting tables? How do I make new tables so everybody eats? Yeah. Right? Like that's the mission. Yeah. And so my goal is, in the city of Utica, like, if there's something you want to do, how do we make that happen? Yeah. Right? Like this is a land of opportunity.
It's the biggest land for opportunity.
And there are other people from outside the city that are starting to see that and come here and flock and develop property and do all this stuff. Yeah. And I don't want us to get displaced and gentrified in the ways that historically we know happens.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think a big part that us as folks do is we see something, we announce, like I said, the speak and the action. We see something, we announce it, we say, hey, yo, this over here is so bad and nasty, I hate it, etc., etc. And then somebody else sees it and says, this place is bad and nasty, fixes it up, and then we hate them because it's not us. And then you could have did that, but you just wanted to complain about it instead of put the action into fixing it. So I feel like the fact that you're broadcasting it, bringing people in the same room, same like-minded people in the same room, and saying, yo, if we have a same like issue, let's attack it together. It's going to get done.
Organized. Yeah. Let's build coalitions, right? Yeah. And let's do it in a way that it isn't just like, oh, the opportunity, let's get ready so that we can stay ready. Yeah. And we don't have to
get ready. Yeah.
Like, so that when the opportunity comes and they're like, oh, well, what's the plan for bringing this together? We as a community actually have a plan. Yeah. And it's like, and this is how many dollars it's going to cost. Yeah. And we can then hold people accountable to it, right? Like, this is, to me, and I'm going to tell you also another, a big thing that brought me back home is during the George Floyd, the summer 2020 protests. I was living in DC. So I'm organizing protests and rallies, leading people, like hundreds of people.
Love that.
Because what else do you do on a Saturday after a 60-hour work week?
We love that.
No, I did love it. It was amazing. And during that time, I was calling like, hey, go to your local offices. You got to demand the money. You got to ask for more school community investment. You got to ask for community programs. You got go to the local mayor's office, go to the city council. And like, I'm doing all this and I'm like, Hilda, but you're not from here. You're not doing that in your local community. Yeah. Right? Yeah. If that's where you can really make change, if that's where there's real opportunity for this equity to hit the ground, what are you doing here?
Respectfully so.
Like, it literally dawned on me that clear. I was like, oh, I got to go home.
Gotta go home. I feel
go home.
That hit. It hits more when you come back home with the knowledge that you got from somewhere else to grow back home.
Because you need that.
That's
right?
big. I feel that hits. I really love the like-minded, like the affirmative action. I just like the. Go after
it. And what I do want to say though, because I don't want to paint myself off just as some exceptional person, I need to recognize the Harvard privilege and weight that's giving me access to be able to do a lot of what I do.
Okay.
Right? Because I think
that on your resume is helping a lot.
100%. Right? Because it's like I've organized, hundreds of plus people events at Harvard. Yeah. So I've gotten not only do I learn the knowledge, but I had the actual work experience at a place where the resources were accessible. I didn't have to jump through as many hoops. So now when I come, it's quick for me to boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I can do this. Yeah. But then also people trust me who maybe wouldn't respond to my emails otherwise. It's like, Hilda, wasn't that girl who went to Harvard, right? And they're like, oh yeah, let me respond to the email, right?
That's her.
So it gives me access, and I think it's a way, like, I guess that's my way of noting to some of the folks who have been here, who have maybe tried to do things and have not gotten the same support or opportunities that I have. Yeah. That it's not just like, oh, I'm just magically the best. No. Like, I also got a university weight behind it that's pretty elite.
How does one that's motivated, inspired by your story right now, they want to help or be a part of what you're doing? How does one do that?
So I'm building that connection point right now. The easiest way is like on my website, you can hit that connect with me, or fill out a connect tab, add me on Facebook and let me know. Because I'm going to be building some of those kind of entry points for like open projects. You just want to be informed. But on the website, you can sign up for my newsletter, and that's probably the easiest way. My website is hmjequityconsulting.com.
Talk about it.
And it's interesting because there's obviously this Utica specific work that I'm doing. So one project, I've been talking about it a lot because I have a lot of the data to start it off, but I'm calling it Utica's Community Corner, right? So the idea is you'd be able to see like, what does Utica really have going on, right? So it's centralizing a lot of the talent and the resources, the businesses, nonprofits that exist here. So like my big thing is, when you go, like, you can't Google, like, if you Google, like, Utica Black-owned restaurants, you might get, like, 4 or 5 when there are, like, 20.
There's a lot of them.
If you're looking for, like, local podcasts, like, I don't know where you would find them, right? Like, even though
somehow you run into the Loft.
But, like, somebody on Facebook shared it with you, or you caught that YouTube, but there's not a real, like
platform.
But how could I find the Loft, right? Or, like, how could I find Rich? Like, I want to connect with somebody who has a podcast or who has a network. Like, how do I find those people? Yeah. And I think right now we rely so much on Facebook, which is great, but it's like you had to have seen the post at the right time, been tagged by the right person, right? And by the God miracle of the algorithm, right? Have
it
seen
came across you.
It's a very lucky lucky in the moment kind of way.
Very true.
And that's not sustainable. Yeah. And that sure as heck is not equitable. Yeah.
And that's also, no one really grows in that, except for if, say, you do get the right post, you do get the right share. Say the Loft does get all that. The person that also is doing the same thing can get that same amount of love, but it's not on the same platforms. You can't find the other person
who's doing.
So I feel like a lot of people always say, someone that I get this question all the time. Yo, bro, I want to start a podcast. I'm like, yo, bro, do it. They're like, you don't think it's oversaturated? I say, yo, bro, you think about it. When you go to your phone and you press play and you listen to a whole bunch of music, you're not thinking, oh, this is too many artists. You're thinking, oh, this is my genre. I like this song. I like this song. This is why I like this. You connect differently with everything. So it'll never be oversaturated. There's a different conversation in every room. That's why there's so many rooms in the world. So if you want to create a podcast, a platform, you just have to do it. And that's why I think with Zay came to me and said he wanted to start a podcast. I said, bro, only way I'm going to get behind this is if you get 5 podcasts before you announce it to anybody that you have a podcast.
Actually record it. Get the work done.
And he was like, okay, boom. And he was on it.
Yeah.
Zay was on it. Zay came and we did episodes. Now we're way ahead. We have it more than enough for a season. So if you really want it, you just have to do it. Yeah. And that's like my passion about everything. So I do think once you do create this platform that can connect everybody to one thing or one place to find everything, is beautiful.
Especially and my goal is, how do we make that as seamless as possible for folks, right? Just send that flyer that you already made to that email address. Yeah. Cool. Fill out this one Google form. It's fine. It's done, So that's the thing that I'm working on over the next couple of months. those applications that folks filled out, they're going to be the first set of profiles on the Utica Community Corners, because the goal is to have individual profiles, right?
Yeah.
Like, so many of us are multi-hyphenate, like, talented people.
Yeah.
Right? You were a financial crime investigator.
Yeah.
You know, like, I didn't know that was
Not
a whole
many people,
career.
Not many people know that.
Right? It's a whole, like, your whole
Yeah.
professional job.
Yeah.
And it's a career avenue and pathway that seems to be fulfilling to you.
It is. It's also part of my move. This is out why I moved. Yeah, it's like we were speaking about before. I was told about the avenue of cybersecurity before cybersecurity was huge. Before the thought of the internet's going to take over the world.
How old were you think?
I was easily like 15, and I thought I was too cool for school at that time. So seeing somebody that's a detective, Mr. Fontenay, shout out you. Seeing someone that's so cool, is a detective, has everything he wants, and he's telling me, yo, instead of you just going for criminal justice, do other things too. Took me apart and be like, okay, I'm going to do other things, and now I'm doing other things. That's the best way I could explain it. But like, it was through like what you're doing. It was through examples that he did it, I can do it. And
I think it's something when it's people that are represented, that you can see yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
I think representation matters and is a part of the empowerment for that piece.
Yeah.
And 2, it's also someone that you have access to.
Yeah.
Right? Because they were able to be like, hey, I know that you said you liked that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here are some other things related to it that can fit into it, right? So he's not telling you, like, don't do criminal justice. That's dumb, right? Like, it's not deviating your interest. It's expanding it and showing how it connects to other things.
The realest thing he said to me, reasons why he said that, which he was ahead of his time during this, he was saying, well, not ahead of his time. It's like, if you know, you know. But he was like, you don't need to go to school to become a cop. And I was like, really? At that point in time, me being a troublemaker, I'm thinking, oh, I got to go to school to become a cop. But I'm like, he's like, you don't have to go to school to become a cop. You can just become a cop and you could do other things. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, if you go to school and do all this and you still don't like all this, you can always become a cop. And I was like, what? So then I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to still do criminal justice. I'm going to do the financial crime, and I'm going to take cyber classes. And now I can go into so many different lanes if I wanted. But that was only because that one single talk happened to me.
The power of that one talk.
Yeah.
And what that talk also showed you is like how to be versatile, right?
Exactly.
Like, how do you show people that you are adaptable and you can apply that skill in multiple ways? Because that's intelligence, right? Like, the difference between, I think, people who are really smart and those who are intelligent is your ability to apply things and pivot, right? Because what that person did was show you, like, hey, you're never going to just be one thing. Or you shouldn't just think that you're going to be one thing. Yeah. And I think when it comes to folks who are, especially from underrepresented backgrounds, we never are one thing. I don't think anyone is one thing at all, ever, no. Right? Like, we're all complex and infinite beings. But like, within our careers, like, you're going to be multiple things to get to what you want.
Life is full of experiences. So I agree. Yeah. All right, it's time for the personality questions.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm excited. Let's see.
They're a little tough. It gets harder as the time goes on. Okay. But just answer to the best of your ability. If you get stuck, just... I'm dragging it.
Okay. I was like, Jim, okay. There's backups here.
Okay. Top 3 favorite cartoons.
Dexter's Laboratory.
Ooh, respect. Ding!
The Grim Adventures of Billy and Nat, like that.
Ding! That's a good one. That's a good one. I was a sleeper on that at first. I thought it was corny at first. Not gonna lie, when it first came out, was not a fan. But when I got tapped in, I got
that Christmas movie, the vampire movie, still gives me like horrors. Like, I can't watch it as an adult. I'm like, it's too much.
We love it. Okay, what's the third one?
The third cartoon. Oof, this is a good one. Top
Rob, you're next.
3?
You got to give me a 3 too.
I don't know. Cartoon. Kim Possible.
Ooh.
Kim Possible. I'm going to throw that out there.
That's probably the best list I've gotten so far.
I do what I can.
It's on you now, Rob. Microphone, please. Microphone check. Top 3.
Top 3.
Yeah.
Let me think. Codename Kids Next Door.
Ooh, that's a
ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding. Yes.
What's I was you know, I like a lot of that one PBS show as a kid.
Talk to me.
What's it called? It's Cyber something. Cyber
yes,
Chase.
Cyber
Chase.
Chase.
Yeah.
I had the
Okay.
computer
Okay.
game.
Okay.
And also there was a lot of
There were
we
so many
watched.
good cartoons.
There is.
I like Static Shock.
I was gonna say
Well,
Static Shock for mine.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. We love that. Okay, for me,
Yes.
I do this every time, but I'm just listing off ones I like now.
Okay.
But I'm gonna throw it up there. As a kid, you can appreciate this. Let's see if you appreciate
Okay.
this one, because this is like when you're a child.
Okay.
Roly Poly Oly.
Yes.
That one slapped.
Yeah.
I had to watch that before school. Number 2, easily the Rugrats. Gotta give it to the Rugrats. It's a given. And then this one is a sleeper. Chalk Zone.
No, that's an A1. A1. That Dragon Tales.
Yes.
Like,
It's a sleeper though. But people
storytelling.
never say Chalk
no,
Zone.
that's a good one. You're
Chalk
right.
Zone
You're
was
right.
a
It is a
that was
sleeper.
slapped, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
It's funny you said
She also said Dragon Tales. Wow.
Respectfully.
Dragon Tales. Yeah.
Respectfully.
Listen,
Top 3 cereals.
that I eat
Yeah, top 3 cereals that you like.
Honey Bunches of Oats with
Respectfully.
almond.
Okay,
With
okay,
almond.
okay. Almond milk is good for you. Talk to me.
Honey Nut Cheerios.
Okay,
Classic.
respectfully.
And then Frosted Flakes.
Respectfully. We like that. All right. Actually, Rob, what's your top 3?
So I like the regular Honey Bunches of Oats. That's what I have in the cupboard right now.
Yeah.
Some Reese's Puffs
Mm-hmm.
and some Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Those
Go
are my
ahead.
favorites.
Cinnamon Toast. For me, Cinnamon Toast Crunch easily. Easily. Like, that's the OG of OG. Cinnamon Toast Crunch sitting back like this. When the list be out, you'll be like...
It's like, I'm going to wait. I know it's coming.
I know my name going to be called. Frosted Flakes is automatic on it. And number 3, I would say, this one always is like interchangeable for me. But for this one, for this episode, I'm going to say the unrespected Apple Jacks. Not respected.
Not at all.
It's not respected
Not at all. But I'm going to let you have it.
I'm
It's your
gonna-
show.
They get soggy. It's like, oh, I'm like, no.
He's like, no.
Even-
He's actually the cancel. He's like, no.
Let's take it back. Let's change the third one.
Nah, you good. You good.
Okay, I'm gonna change it. The third one would be I'm gonna say the unrespected Pops.
You know what? I actually do like Pops. Like, I'm also a person that likes corn muffins.
Yeah. Oh, you
so
do?
I do like corn muffins.
Okay, cool. Rob doesn't like that one either.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Come on. You got to go with Captain Crunch or something like that.
Okay, I'm gonna redeem myself. Number 3,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Rice Krispies.
Okay.
It's calm.
They still get mushy, but
The unrespected Rice Krispies. We're moving forward. All right.
Like,
Next
oh,
question
shit.
for you. What's the most annoying thing someone can do, like your pet peeve?
I've grown to be very patient.
Okay. These are usually the funniest answers.
I don't know. I think. I don't know. I don't. I
Hilda.
really don't
Come
know.
on, Hilda.
It's gonna sound like very benevolent. Like, the thing that annoys me the most is when someone is like intentionally ignorant and rude. Like, on some, it's one thing if, like, you're angry, like it's a genuine reaction, but like when people try and like be cool or funny by making fun of somebody else, like I go on total cut. Like, no, you're about to get,
get
your ass
roasted.
cooked
Yeah.
because you really thought
Yes.
that was cute.
Yeah.
Like, and it becomes like a personal thing for me. I don't have to know like, I've always been this way. I'm like,
Yeah.
pick on somebody your own size.
Respectfully.
Right? So I don't that's kind of my answer.
One thing that me and my friend group does, all together is probably 30 of us, but one thing that we do, we roast the roaster. So if you roasting somebody for no reason, we roasting you.
Of course.
We're roasting
Respectfully,
you.
because what?
Yeah,
You
like,
called
why
that
you,
upon yourself.
Especially if you try to do it in front of girls. Now we're roasting you because why are you trying to act cool now? Yesterday you was farting and all that. Anyway,
exactly.
moving forward. What's an unanswered question in your life? Welcome to the loft.
Damn, that's a good question. What is an unanswered question in my life? How much will be enough?
That one hit.
How much will be enough?
That one hit. I love that. Okay. Do you ever feel like you're misunderstood?
Yeah.
Elaborate.
I was like, oh, I can't just leave it there. I'm like, yes.
It's
period.
the last one. It's the last one.
I think there's this space between, like everybody has, like public you and like personal you and who you like really are. And I think that I have felt sometimes like misunderstood. Like even when I remember when I was younger, folks used to tell me there's some person's like, oh, does she have to win everything? And I was like, bro, what? I can't even win. You know what I mean?
You can't even gracefully win. Yeah. That's crazy.
So it was this like challenge of finding how to, one, be called into some leadership positions, two, know that I have an affinity and a love for leadership, and balancing what that means or what that looks like, I think is a common, is actually a thing for me. Of like, I don't want people to, I'm not, even in coming back home, I'm not trying to be like, oh, Hilda's a savior now that she's back. Like, that's not the mission that I'm on.
Yeah.
But the mission that I'm on does require me to do a lot of work and to be innovative and to lead. And so if that, that can be a space for misunderstanding. You know what I mean? Like when people are like, oh, she's moving from a place of pride and ego. And I'm like,
no,
I don't talk about what I really have done in some of the rooms that I've
been in.
Really have been in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like the slight flex. And I just threw that in a presentation with a client because I haven't put this on my website, but I'm like, Dr. Cornel West. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
He's like one of the most prolific, he's like a public philosopher on like race studies. He wrote like Race Matters back in the 60s and 70s.
I know what Race Matters is though. Yeah.
So that's Dr. Cornel West.
Yeah.
He's like the black philosopher guy, criticizes Obama, like that kind of big Bernie fan. Dr. Cornel West calls me the philosopher.
Really?
Pulled me out of a graduate. You know what I'm like?
That's crazy. I can see the book in my head too right now.
You know his face sitting right on.
That's crazy.
I have a literal video I can show you where it's the graduation line. This is Harvard graduation. My roommates, one of which who's also an Olympian medal, she's a silver medalist.
Yeah.
And my other roommate who's now at Berkeley Law School because just amazing excellence around me.
Yeah.
It's like
it's who surrounds you, man. It's who surrounds you.
They're like, Brother West, can we take a selfie? And I'm standing behind them next to him. He's like, oh, come get the philosopher in here. He doesn't know if I know these people, right? Pulls me out of line to get into these other women's graduation picture because he sees me.
That's crazy.
So, and I dropped that because I'm like, I don't walk around
having to talk about it.
But that's the level of work that
it's being said on. Though.
It got just putting that out there.
I don't gotta say it, but it's being said. Respectfully so though. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. What are some wise words you want to leave the people with that look up to you or want to be motivated? Any wise words you want to leave the people that's watching right now?
It really is about how you treat people along the journey because you never know who's watching you. And so everything that you do, if you do it with this sense of excellence and this sense of purpose, right, it matters. And you have to do it on purpose for yourself too. And what I would say is believe in that impossible dream that you have. If it were impossible, you wouldn't have it in your heart, right? The reason why you have that dream is because you are possible. And what you hope is just taking more people. It's just going to require more time and more people. Yeah. And the only way you get to that though is by sharing those dreams. So if there's nothing else, be bold and share that dream that you have, because it is possible. And I hope my testimony shows you the impossible power of your dreams.
Wow. The sucky part about that, Rob, is that you got to follow up with that and give your wise words of today. Everybody that sits behind the chair has to do it. Wise words of today.
Nah, I know Rob has some words over there.
But that was really good. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was really beautiful.
My wise words. You just got to get out and do it.
Really, I love that. It could be as simple as that, though.
Yeah.
The wise words can be as simple as that. My wise words of today are go with your heart. You know what I'm saying? Go with your heart, but let your mind, guide you from what's smart and what's not. But go with your heart, go with your gut, because it's usually right. And that's going with, like, stuff in my life right now. That's what I'm saying. But I'm like, I use this as therapy, though. So that's why I'm, like, projecting up what I'm saying.
Good.
And go with your heart. And if you feel like you have to make a big move to feel fulfilled and what your end goal is, then go with your heart.
Yeah.
And you can always come right back.
And what's that saying? Do it scared anyways. Like just do it. And I think believe in something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
Faith has been, if not for God, never would have made it.
Respectfully. Never would have made it.
Thank you. I was waiting for the clip.
Never would have made it without you. I would have lost it all.
I was like, where are the runs? Hit him with the.
But no, that song has got me through so much. That song has got me to that song and a Haitian song that I grew up with since I was a kid. I sing all the time. But
you got to sing it now.
It's just that's like my personal song. I can tell you off air, but that's like really my personal song that like I sing it in my troubling times. And
that's your gatekeeping?
Yeah. That's not gatekeeping.
He said, I got the secret hope formula, but I'm not going to give it to y'all.
But find that song because they say singing is like praying twice. So find that song that you like really attach to, and that time of trouble, that time of like, yo, I don't know where to turn. If you can just sing it, you can feel it. You can feel it. When you're singing a song, when you're going through something, you feel it. Sometimes when you're praying, you might not feel like, okay, God's listening. But when you sing that song,
listen,
you're going to feel that. You never want to make it. Mm-hmm.
My gospel song, the one that I used to sing on repeat, was Give Myself Away.
Don't get me singing gospel in here
Go
today.
ahead. Listen, I'm trying to see the awards show. Bring us home.
No respect. That song is beautiful.
And I think that's a large part of my leadership ethics.
I love that song.
So
another song for me is He'll Do It Again for you. He'll do it again. Just take a look where you are now and where you've been.
No, you got to share that with me. I don't know.
That song
Put me
hit.
on.
It's an
Put
older song. People now remake the song, but the older version for me slaps more than anything. It's my mom's favorite song. So every time I'm like in a moment of despair, she will like text me the YouTube, the YouTube link, and I'm just like, you know what? Sometimes this is what I got to say to y'all. Your parent or that friend that sends you that motivational message, and they send it all the time, and it's like whatever. Read that message. Listen to that song.
Yeah.
Because it can slap at the right time.
And also be that friend.
Respectfully.
Because you never know when that word like, dang, I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
Shout out to you. Thinking of you, praying for you, loving on you.
Yes.
Can make a world of difference. And that's what we talk about with the power of community.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you have a village of people, it's because like somebody at some point can just pour in that like, hey, remember you're great.
Yeah.
Remember you're wonderfully made.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thank you so much for having me.
I love this whole entire podcast.
So much fun.
Overdue, but it was perfect. It was perfect timing. You have something big that's coming up, and the next time we're on the show, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, and I definitely am going to be reaching out to you for like more contact leads for folks who are doing projects because like my goal is building up the city, like building up the connection within the city, right? Mm-hmm. So like the way that I'm measuring success with my like engagement with the district is like every student being connected to one more activity or one more person or one more group.
Yeah.
Right? Because the way that you are successful is not by doing it alone. It
Yeah.
literally is the amount of connections and resources and knowledge you have.
It takes a village, yeah.
So let's build that. Like, how do we really build that up for
Yeah.
our students and for ourselves, right?
Respectfully.
As a city, because it's like, now I know you, and now I just met you today, you
Yeah.
know? And who knows how many other people now I'm going to be able to meet because of
The
this
whole loft community.
amazing podcast. Please, would love to connect with y'all,
Yeah.
like, and support your projects, because I think that's what the city is, right? Like, that's what really supporting and developing a community is. It's not like, oh, I have a vision for what needs to be done.
Yeah.
I have a vision that more needs to be done.
Yeah.
Who's actually going to do it? It's y'all,
Yeah.
right? So how do I help you get what you need to actually do that?
Yeah.
That's what I'm on a mission to do.
And we love it. And when you run,
Stop it.
I'm
Stop it.
voting.
You're not.
I'm voting. And when you run, hey, I might be right beside you running right with you. But when you run, I'm voting. You feel me?
Listen.
I might be running for House of Rep, and you might be running for the president. And we gonna win that thing together. You feel me?
I am not running for office, but it is very important to vote. I will be putting together.
Question, would you ever?
So I will be putting together some voting information
Just
and
know,
education events.
for Hilda.
This is not a political endorsement.
This is a political endorsement. Do not listen to her right now. Vote for her. And if you don't see her name,
Don't write it in. No,
enter her name into the ballot. Vote today, actually. The
if I
ballots are
win-
open.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
Imagine
that.
you win.
On a write-in, and
That
I'm
would
just
be
like,
fire. Shout out to the loft. The power
no,
of the
stop.
loft.
I would be like, yo, y'all did not.
The power of the loft.
That would be a story.
That would be
But
a story. So do it.
Not running for anything.
Do it.
To my friends who are running for political office.
Yes.
It's really important that we educate people, and I've been pushing folks to do it, not on like what you think people need to know, but like actually what you're running about and the issues in the city. Like, too many of us don't know, like, there's a primary election, which isn't the real election. That's just to say who's actually going to be on the election ballot, right? So that's in June. People need to go out and vote in June.
Yeah.
But that's not the real mayor election, which is in November.
People don't even do that.
At all.
Yeah.
No, they definitely don't go out to June, but that affects who you can vote for in November.
Exactly. And then we're like, oh, this is all we have?
Well,
well.
and it's like, oh, the city never spends money on black events or community events or building festivals. I'm like, well, you didn't bother.
Vote for Hilda. Like, you didn't vote for Hilda, and look where we at.
You see the campaign manager?
You have to vote for Hilda. If you want change, we'll be the change.
Be the change you want to see. Lord have mercy. No, it's funny. My mother's prayer is that I do not go into politics.
Really? My pop's prayer is that I'm going to be.
My mom just looks at me and she's like, not now.
Yeah.
Not like, and like when she sees me doing more community events and she's like, Hilda, do not. Like, it's that serious. And I think that her point to it, though, is that there really is.
It's a change. It changes your whole life.
Absolutely. And I love being able right now to do this community building work, to be able to sit for however
Freely.
long, you know, and do this. And I know that everything that I do is political. I'm a black person in America.
Yeah.
Like, I'm also a business owner. So these things obviously factor in. But there's still a way in which that's secondary.
Yeah.
You know, and I get to be myself and serve and work for the community first.
Yeah.
And also, like, I'm helping better identify who the community is, because I also have been thinking about this a lot, where people say like the community, and I'm like, who that? Respectfully, right? Because your community, the loft community, is a different set of group, right? Like, and your friends are a part of that, but the people that you have on the loft are maybe different than everybody who watches the loft, right? Like, we just have community is a relative term. Right. And so I think that, quote unquote, the community, like, I want to, who's the community? Because we often say, oh, there isn't enough black leadership. There were 55 people plus. There were 55 people just in that room. Another 50 plus who had started the application, who were interested, who hit me up afterwards, who weren't available. Yeah. That's 100 people. Yeah. At least. Yeah. In a 2-week time span that we were able to connect to. Yeah. No real broad marketing. Imagine how many actual leaders, how many more people
could have been in that room. Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, I've been thinking a lot about how do we build that community so that we're like, oh, this is the community.
Hilda for president. All right.
I'm gonna go before I end up getting you about to start pushing what's it called? No, let me not even say it.
We love it.
All right.
But no, thank you for coming on the show. This is a amazing experience. Definitely gonna have you back on the show. Might be in a different location.
Yes,
but
listen. Even if we can do a virtual one, once we
we gotta be the in-person hits. The in-person hits. We gotta do it again. It's gonna happen regardless. Yes. If there's a voice, there's a mic, and there's a camera, the loft will be there.
Awesome.
Where can they find you again?
They can find me at hmjequityconsulting.com. I'm updating things so you can catch on to current projects. You can also add me on Facebook, Hilda M Jordan. I'll be dropping more social medias there, but it's the best way to get in touch with me now. I'm starting a mailing list. And yeah, just hit me up. Like I'm surprisingly more accessible than you think.
Yeah.
And if I don't get back to you, I will get back to you eventually.
Yeah.
And if there's ever any way that I can be of help, like for real, like hit my line, go to the website, use the contact page. I've been emailing literally anywhere from like high school students and middle school students that are like, hey, you were so motivational. Like, here's my boy's trouble. Like I literally had a student like send me a 3-page email.
We love that.
About her whole life story with this guy. And I'm like, so I really think you have great communication skills and a bunch of storytelling talents that you can better direct into your career.
Leave that boy alone.
I'm like, girl, that ain't for. But even the advice that I gave her wasn't like, leave him alone. I'm like,
yeah.
You know that he's a player right now.
Yeah.
So you can either choose to play the game.
The fact that they felt open up to you, that's the connection that we need to have. That's a big.
From college students who now after a keynote invited me to keynote their own event, and I've now designed an entire coding program that we're figuring out how to bring into the city.
Yeah.
To like C-suite executives that are trying to figure out how do we collaborate and partner, to folks that are asking me to review their manuals, like folks asking for legal redress. Like I serve everyone. Like I'm really
Wow.
We love this. Yeah.
We love this. All right. We try to end this like 10 times.
Sorry. Yeah.
The Loft, season 4. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. And do something positive today. Tell someone you love them and make that phone call you haven't spoke to in a while. Do it.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. Do it. The Loft, season 4. We're out.
It's only dollars and she sees I know she's selfish. I no go flush the money some